Hey guys. Darn it. Stupid lighting. I fighted. Lol. He's so cute. Oh, that's uncomfortable. Um, okay. I'm sexy and I know it. Yeah, I'm not sexy. Nerdy is the new sexy. This sexiness. Okay, so I changed my name finally to yeah, that's my name. I'm just kidding. I don't know. It still says that you my email. It says darksetter07821 postages, reasons, but my channel's name is. Wait for it. Wait for it. Nerdy Panda Girl. Uh huh. So. Hold on. Okay. Hmm? Okay. Here is a kind of like horror story thing. I know that was quiet for a second. Okay. It's called My Sleeping Wife. I pull into the driveway from another late night. I enter the house to find all the lights are out. As usual, my wife must already be in bed and asleep. It's late and I'm tired, so I figure I might as well go to bed too. I don't even bother turning on the lights anymore. I can navigate my way through this house blind. Besides, I don't want to wake my wife. The bedroom door creaks as it opens, and I inch my way to my side of the bed and crawl in. I move close to my wife and wrap my arm around her. I know she's asleep, but I somehow feel her embrace me as I hold her. I slowly drift to sleep, with the love of my life asleep in my arms. I slowly begin to wake up when I find my love is no longer in my arms, or in bed, for the matter. I open my eyes to see the entire side of the bed covered in dried, crusty blood. I panic and look to the floor to see bloody footprints and drips of blood leading out of the room. I frantically get up to follow the footprints and search for my wife. As I approach the door, I decide to take one last look at the room. As I turn around, I see my once beautiful wife sliced open and mutilated, nailed to the wall behind my bed. Beside her, painted in blood across the wall, were the words, "Thanks for holding me, but maybe next time you should turn on the lights when you come in." Hmm? Okay, there's a bunch of these things, so I'm just gonna. Okay, there's this other one. I'm just gonna read this and then we're done. Okay, silence. Try this. Turn off the music, turn off the TV if you have to, turn off the computer. Then go to another room and sit in total silence. Do you hear that? That ringing? People say it is your brain making up a sound to explain the silence. People lied. I can't tell you what is making that sound, but whatever it is, you don't want to meet it. It is trying to break through, force its way out onto our plane of existence. Now try this. Repeat the first steps. Turn everything off. This time, turn the lights off too. Do you hear that ringing? Better hope you do. If you don't, it's because they have finally managed to break through, and no amount of running will save you. Yeah, I'm gonna try that tonight. What else is there? Okay, wristbands. I'm sorry, I just gotta read these. When you are admitted to a hospital, they place on your wrist a white wristband with your name on it, but there are other different colored wristbands which symbolize other things. The red wristbands are placed on dead people. There was once a surgeon who worked on night shift in a school hospital. He had just finished an operation and was on his way down to the basement. He entered the elevator and there was just one other person there. He casually chatted with that woman while the elevator descended. When the elevator door opened, another woman was about to enter. When the door slammed, the close button and punched the button to the highest floor. Surprised, the woman reprianded the doctor for being rude and asked why he did not let the other woman in. The doctor said that was the woman I just operated on. She died while I was doing the operation. Didn't you see the red wristband she was wearing? The woman smiled, raised her arm, and said something like this. They weren't dead. They were ghosts. Okay, I'm just going to read all these. I mean, these are really cool. Okay. The baby doll. In rural southern Illinois, a company began selling realistic baby dolls to expectant mothers. But apparently, after the mother had her child, the toy baby would start crying. Eventually, the rocking motion advertised to calm it down wouldn't work, and you couldn't get it to stop without shaking it. Eventually, when it started crying, the parent would have to beat it, and the beating and trashing would have to get harder and harder to get it to be quiet. The only thing that seemed to shut the baby doll up, apparently, was to bash its head against the wall to destroy whatever mechanism triggered the crying. On more than one occasion, though, neighbors called the authorities to report child abuse. When the police arrived, they found the bloody remains of infants smeared across the walls and the floor. In most cases, the mother couldn't understand why the police was there. She just got rid of the stupid ball, as she rocked a baby-shaped bundle in her arms. Oh! Ooh! She mistaken the baby doll as a real baby. Oh! Ah! Ooh. Okay, another one. Okay, this is so cool. Okay, I'm gonna face you guys. The angel. A few years ago, a mother and father decided they needed a break. So they wanted to head out for a night on the town. They called their most trusted babysitter. When the babysitter arrived, the two children were already fast asleep in bed. So the babysitter just got to sit around and make sure everything was okay with the children. Later that night, the babysitter got bored and went to watch TV. But she couldn't watch it downstairs because they did not have cable downstairs. The parents didn't want children watching too much garbage. So she called them and asked them if she could watch cable in the parents' room. Of course, the parents said it was okay. But the babysitter had one final request. She asked if she could cover up the angel statue outside the bedroom window with a blanket or cloth. At that very least, close close the blinds because it made her nervous. The phone line was silent for a moment, and the father who was talking to the babysitter at the time said, "Take the children and get out of the house. We will call the police. We do not have an angel statue." The police found all three of the house occupants dead within 3 minutes of the call. No angel statue was ever found. I'm sorry, these two things are just so... Ugh. Okay. Neckens perform television. Okay, whatever that was. Oh. Okay. His hand was starting to hurt. His wrist jerked as he dragged the pencil across the page in a quick arched line. That was the curve of her cheek. Soft. He shifted his hand slightly to sketch out the gentle line of her nose and the swoop of her Cupid's bow. Her lips came next, lightly shaded graffiti on paper, but in his mind they were full and pink and tasted like nothing at all. They were slightly parted, those lips, and he could see the white pearls of her teeth laying as bright beacons in the dark beyond. A lock of curl hair clung to his mottled lip, but it did not stir with breathing. She was a very good model, holding so still that he could draw her for hours and hours. All around him lay sketches and half-conceived drawings scattered in all directions, some of them ruined with her blood. He had told her over and over to hold still. Did she understand how intricate the human form is? Did she not understand that even the smallest movement from her precious model could mess everything up? But she knew now. Now she was being very, very good. He flexed his Turing's hands and moved his attentions to his portrait's brow. Fine, gentle eyebrows with a perfect, delicate line of blood crawling down from her hairline to the bridge of her nose. That chunk of missing flesh at her temple would add some wonderful texture to the drawing. And those perfect, frolic-like splatters of deep red created a beautiful pattern of chaos. Oh, she was wonderful. What? And finally he came to her eyes. The window to the soul, they say. But hers were only windows to the inside of her head. He giggled a little at his own sense of irony. Her eye sockets gaped like mouths begging to be fed. But that was all right. The splendor of her exposed facial anatomy was far more pleasing than any set of baby blues could be. With hard, feverish motions he shaded in those pulpy voids, and his heart burst with joy to see what a truly ecstatically beautiful image they had created together. He licked the sweat from his upper lip and turned his easel face to her. "You see," he asked her, giddy with the dull thrills of destruction and creation, "you see what we've made?" The model, basking in a pool of blood, still motionless by his stern command, said nothing. Okay. Hiding. I'm scared, Mommy. They're hiding under my bed. Allison crouched down beside her son, who had curled up in his bed, and pulled the blanket tightly up to his face, his terrified eyes peering out from behind the blue fabric. "Honey, we go through this every night. Always another tale of something hiding under your bed, or hiding in the closet, or hiding in your toy box. There is nothing to be afraid of." "I'm not afraid of them, Mommy. I'm afraid of what they're hiding from." Okay, this is the last one. Okay. Begin script 55. Do you something? Yeah. You're in a room sitting on your computer. You're a little hungry, but you don't feel like getting up. You debate with yourself whether or not you will go get something to eat or not when you hear a low mechanical hum. You listen for another change in tone, but none comes. You're a little worried and debate whether or not to check it out, but you don't. The computer continues feeding you command after command, and you can't stop reading it. You forsake your huge and self-preservation just to read and obey the story in front of you. The hum changes as the mechanical process speeds up, the computer system beginning to absorb your brain waves. You begin to hallucinate. You can stop reading at any time. You never leave the computer, but your mind continues dreaming as if you do. For days you waste away in your chair, trapped in a coma. Your family can't wake you. There's nothing about this script in the computer's history. It's okay. You are not hallucinating. Feel free to do whatever you would like now. The process is complete. I'm going to read two more, okay? Just two more. Tonight's like every other night. You lay there in the dark and silence alone with no company. No company. Other than your thoughts. You shift and roll throughout your bed. Just you and your thoughts. You pander, you plan, and you fantasize. Anything to distract from the ringing silence that surrounds you. You hear a creak, a common sound you hear on such still night. But you still recall when the sound hits your ears. You hear this sound almost every night, but the sheer unexpectedness sets off a trigger in your head as paranoia takes over. The thoughts that once illuminated your mind are now darkened. What was once pleasure and success has now turned to demons and killers. The silence that your mind was distracting you from has now become the focus. You lay there, silent, listening for any obscure sound, hoping that the silence doesn't leave. Every little noise adds to your and paranoia, and the silence lingers as you await the next unexpected occurrence. You're too afraid to open your eyes at the thought of seeing anything your mind can conjure. You lay there alone in fear. The fear builds in your mind as you try to find a quick escape from anything it creates. You revert to your childhood solution, hiding under the covers. You pull the blanket over your head and lay in silence. You hear noises, but they don't seem as scary. You figure if they can't see you, you're safe. The heat builds up under your blanket, but you put up with it simply for the comfort it supplies. You begin to calm down and relax and revert back to your usual logical self. It's just you and your thoughts again. Alone under your blanket, you think of how silly it was to get so scared and worked up over a silly little noise. Eyes closed. You lift the blanket off your face as the built-up heat is released. You breathe a sigh of relief and roll over, only to hear a deep, grating voice whisper, "Oh, there you are," as their sounds of footsteps creeps towards your bed. Yeesh. So someone was watching them, making noise every night. And then one night she just pulls a blanket over her head. She's like, "Oh, please, 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 please." How stupid is this? Like, seriously. Oh, there you are. If that happened to me, I just spit all over my computer. These are so cool. It's on this thing called iFunny. And okay, and then there's this one person is called A Little Twisted, and it has this weird picture, and it says things that go bump in the night. Okay, well that's all for today since it's almost been 20 minutes. Now I see you, nerdies and nerdiettes. Well, I'm just gonna call you geek and geekettes. This is my hip. This is my hip. I was not touching my butt. Okay, well, I'll see you guys later, my little geeks and geekettes. If anybody ever watches this. Bye-bye. Adios. See you guys tomorrow.